Okay, I've turned down the lighting in the room to try and get a clearer picture of the monitor. I do appreciate it's never the easiest way to do it, zooming a camera into a screen, but I'll try my best with it. And what we have here is the Amiga Workbench 4.1 desktop. I've got it running in 1680 by 1050 on a 24-inch display. I've actually customized it as well, put my own backdrop on there, but I'll show you quickly around. Well, first of all, I'll explain the requirements of it. It's a very, very light footprint for an OS. We're talking 100 megs of hard disk space to install it, 256 megs of RAM. It runs on a minimum a PowerPC G3. I've got it on a G4 machine, clocked up to 933 megahertz. It requires a Radeon 7000 card, but it supports up to a 9250 that I've got in here, and it will actually use the 3D features of the graphics card for compositing layering as well. Very, very responsive OS, as well as everything actually runs in RAM, so there is virtual memory and hard disk paging if it needs it, but most of the time, I mean, I've got a system here, it's been on now for a week or so. Out of a gigabyte of RAM in this machine, it is currently using just over 100 megs with the OS fully loaded and a couple of applications open on it too. Now if we look around the kind of layout of the OS, some things have been adopted by other operating systems. You may notice that it's quite similar to a Mac insofar that it has the Windows, the menus rather, at the top of the screen, and they are accessed by holding down the right button. And they are there when you need them, and when you don't, you let go. You can also open it anywhere on the screen as well if you want to. But they can be at the top there, and they don't actually appear until you click the button. Now, it also is a very, very responsive OS as well. It's got a preemptive multitasking scheduler that will ensure that important tasks do get their fair share of processing time. And it's really fast as well to respond to user clicks, opening directories and stuff like that, a lot quicker than my Windows machine, which is much more powerful. And looking around the windows as well, we have a few volumes on the side here. We've got the system hard disk, the work one, which is my applications one. You can do as many hard disk partitions as you please on here, really. We also have a RAM disk as well that I do find really handy. Every time you launch the operating system, it opens a RAM disk by default, and it grows depending on how big you make it, how much you put in there rather. Which I find really useful if you're downloading off the internet, or you may be installing a program and you want to try it out without having a copy, messing up your hard disk and leaving trails all over the place. You can download your download files to the RAM disk, install them onto your OS, and then when the computer is turned off and on, everything in the RAM will get deleted. So I find it really handy for that as well. We've also got a screen system that the Amiga's had, pretty much since inception, really, since it was designed back in the mid-80s. So basically an application can open on its own public screen entirely. You can look between them, see. I've got a word processor open there, and the little depth gadget in the top right corner there will cycle you between the screens, or you can even have multiple screens at different screen resolutions actually running all at the same time, and just kind of fan them down. You can even drag and drop things between screens. If I had a document there, I could drag and drop it into here. It's a really handy feature, actually. Also, the OS has a system called data types as well. They're kind of like codecs, really. They're stored in here. And what it means is anything you've got a data type for, it's actually a file type handler. So you can use them for picture displaying, playing music, decoding video files, rendering websites or anything like that. Any application system-wide can access the data types, which means that you can basically open any file in any application that will support it, providing you've got a data type for it, which is very good. It also includes a scripting language as well, too now in fact, Arex, which is an Amiga implementation of the Rex language. And also Python now as well, which means it's possible to automate, integrate and remote control pretty much any application system-wide. It's really handy. All Amiga applications have an Arex port pretty much. Icon handling as well is really good on the OS. You can actually have different types of icon. For example, in here, the directory icons, they're called drawers in here. There's a drawer icon, and you can kind of set what kind what kind of icon type it is. So say for example I've got a document file. I'll go into my USB stick here, an MP3 there. I can go into information, icon, and the default tool is what it will play in, and you can change that to anything. You can have it system-wide, or maybe just specifically for that one file, and you can tell it where to begin from, the shell, an AREX port, or the workbench.